Hey guys, Spencer Coffman with the Internet Hustler YouTube channel. Today we're talking about beneficiaries. Welcome to the Internet Hustler YouTube channel. My name is Spencer Coffman. Today we are talking about beneficiaries. Now you may say, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of having an entire video, 10 minutes of your time, on beneficiaries? Well, it's important because so many people fail to specify the proper beneficiaries, and then when they die, something happens and their money is just held up in probate or in the courts, or it just doesn't go to someone, or a lawyer is trying to figure out where to put this money, and it could take years for your loved ones to get what you worked so hard to keep. So it's very, very important. Let's talk about a few places where beneficiaries are really, really important to specify. Number one would be in any investment account. So these are things like individual retirement accounts, your IRA, your Roth IRA, your 401k, etc. Now, a good strategy for beneficiaries, first we'll continue on where else. So IRA, 401k, Roth IRA, life insurance. If you have any life insurance policies, you have to have a beneficiary. Some other things would be like if you have any brokerage accounts and they call for a beneficiary, things like TD Ameritrade, Webull, Robinhood, all of those stock brokerage trading platforms, you can add a beneficiary there. Some other places for beneficiaries, some banks, like if you have trust accounts, they would ask for beneficiaries, so you can specify them. In addition, you want to have, like in your will, your living will and your living trust, you want to make sure that you have things spelled out in there. So you have your beneficiaries we'll get into the strategy of how to set them up, but then you'd also have something dictated in that living will or that trust that would determine how all of that gets dispersed. So pretty much anywhere, any account that you have, if it asks for a beneficiary, it's a really good idea to specify one. It never hurts. You can have primary beneficiaries, you can have secondary beneficiaries, or you could have contingent beneficiaries. The terminology could change, things could be different, but let's dive into a little bit about that now that you know where you need to have these beneficiaries. So any investment accounts, any life insurance accounts are great places to have and specify your beneficiaries. Now, the types of beneficiaries. So pretty much all of these places, whether it's retirement accounts, investment accounts, brokerage accounts, life insurance policies, they're all going to ask for what is called a primary beneficiary. And so what that means is that if you were to die, who is the first person they are going to call to try to give this money to? And that would be your primary beneficiary. Now, an excellent person for that is if you're married, it's your spouse or your significant other. So that would be your primary beneficiary. If you're not married yet, having your parents be your primary beneficiary, one or the other. You have to pick one, and then you could name your second parent as your contingent beneficiary. Or if you are a single parent and you have children, then naming one of your children as a primary beneficiary would be a good solution. You could name another one as a secondary, and you could continue on. If you don't want to choose a kid though, then we have another option for you. And so the strategy, depending on your situation in life, would be a little different, but you want to make sure that really, ultimately, your spouse is going to be your primary beneficiary. Then you would have, hopefully, you have a trust or a living trust set up and created. If you don't, please check out this card here. It's a video on the living trust. If you have any questions about it, please comment below and I can help get you in contact with someone who can do this for you. It's very inexpensive and it's highly worth doing. So let's, for the sake of this video, because this is really a good structure for it, let's say you have that set up. So on your investment accounts, your retirement accounts, your life insurance policies, your primary beneficiary is your spouse, and your secondary or contingent beneficiary would be your living trust. So if you guys died together or your spouse dies before you and then you die a little while later, your retirement accounts, your life insurance, all of that would then pay into your trust, and within your trust it says how that money is dispersed, whether it goes to your children, your relatives, charity, etc. That's all dictated in the terms of that trust. And so that's a very good way to disperse that money and keep things really, really simple. You just have a couple beneficiaries. Now, let's say you don't have a spouse, and then what would you do? Well, you could name that primary beneficiary to go right to your trust, and then within your trust, it could be dictated on how that gets executed or that gets dispersed. And if you have maybe a bunch of children and you don't want to name one or two children as beneficiaries, you could have your trust be your primary beneficiary, and then in the trust it would dictate how all of that gets dispersed to your children. That way one child isn't getting your IRA, one child isn't getting a 401k or a Roth IRA, one child isn't getting a life insurance policy. You don't have to divide it all up. You can say send it all to my trust, and then from my trust it gets dispersed evenly to my children or to my relatives or to my parents or etc. So if you don't have a spouse, then have your primary beneficiary be the trust. If you have a spouse, primary beneficiary should be your spouse. That way they get the money sooner. Secondary beneficiary would be the trust. That way when they die, it would all go to the trust. And if your spouse died before you, then you would go change all of your investment accounts from having your spouse as primary to having the trust as primary. Or depending on the account, you could leave it, because when you would die, they would know that your spouse is dead before you, and then they would just go right to the secondary or the contingent. So again, if you have any questions about that, please comment below. But the point on this is beneficiaries are very important, and you should specify them. Make sure to specify them if it's asked, and make sure you get that trust set up, because that living trust is very, very important where you can send your assets. So again, any questions, please comment below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and your family to help them out, give them a little clarity, and help set them up properly for life and for finance. Give them that financial education that they so desperately need. We all desperately need a good financial education. And again, any questions, comment below. Feel free to hit the subscribe button and the like button as well. Until next time.